Hey folks, this is your host, ThriftyGamer83 here, bringing you my review of GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64. A little while ago, I did a review of GoldenEye for the Nintendo Wii, and that I felt the game was just too dark. They remade GoldenEye as a game, and it just does not hold up. It's not really humorous. It doesn't really play well to its strengths, and it doesn't really use humor. It was a dark game. It had no light whatsoever. The graphic detail was, well, completely in the dark. With the Nintendo 64 version of GoldenEye, you get to see an all-time classic on display. The controls are wonderful. The lighting doesn't need to be dark and atmospheric. It really doesn't. It's just a game above all other games. A game you can really enjoy playing. A game which makes you stay up till 3 a.m. and get a wake-up call. And you just knew it was awesome. That is GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64. It is a part of my childhood. For me, the graphics really stay on par with a title like Siphon Filter. GoldenEye 64 and Siphon Filter were just groundbreaking games. They truly broke the mold. With GoldenEye 64, it's the first-person shooter upon which all games now have strived to be. The Nintendo 64 was limited by having a cartridge format. Nintendo didn't use a CD medium or DVD medium until the Nintendo GameCube. And just to see the graphical content of GoldenEye, it was awesome. I know it has that fog issue, which a lot of Nintendo 64 games had, but they use the fog to an advantage. You use stealth as a main advantage in GoldenEye. It's something that you have to be precise upon. Although, of course, some of the aiming issues generally stem from just me being a little rusty. As you can see, the sniper rifle works wonderfully. You just didn't see it back in the late 90s. You didn't see a game like this coming on the horizon. First-person shooter games were always Macintosh or PC. You didn't have a game which really competed with them until you had GoldenEye on a console. To that much, you had people who slowly got used to playing first-person shooter games on a console. I know people who went out and bought GoldenEye simply because they wanted it, which in turn means that they also bought a Nintendo 64, which was a great turn by Nintendo. Really, to have that marketing edge and influence, they really knew how to play it. Well, people like this, and wasn't a Doom killer per se, but it was a killer app. You saw on the horizon something wonderful and beautiful. The graphical detail, the texturing was amazing. Got really acclimated to the design, and it was something which you got used to. It was something that you could easily spend hours upon, like I have. In high school, I remember GoldenEye. Oh man. I got a Nintendo 64. I already had a PlayStation. I got GoldenEye. I would stay up till 5 a.m. playing Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy VIII. You want to know how long I stayed up playing GoldenEye? Well, let's see. I'm going to try and count the hours. I would stay up playing GoldenEye until the next afternoon, until I was just that tired. GoldenEye for me is one of a kind. It inspired so many games to come to the forefront. Games like Borderlands, games like Quake. It really inspired them to push the hardware. In fact, I also owned Quake for the Nintendo 64. It was a beautiful game. It really was. It wasn't a GoldenEye, for sure, but this GoldenEye is a one-of-a-kind game. You're not going to see games really like GoldenEye anymore. The remake was absolutely terrible, but the classic GoldenEye, you just have to play to believe. The graphics are nice, sharp, and detailed for the Nintendo 64. With the PlayStation, you kind of had that issue of the game kind of not really, it had shadow trouble, but games like Siphon Filter found a way around that. They found a nice little niche for themselves in gaming. And with GoldenEye versus Siphon Filter, I just remember that so much because when I was growing up, the PlayStation and Nintendo 64 were competing, and Metal Gear Solid was still a little bit behind the times, and GoldenEye and Siphon Filter managed to steal some of its thunder with an accurate aiming system, with accurate headshots. That really is the turning point for me. That is when it became okay to play console first-person shooting games, because they were just that good. Alright folks, rant, rave, love, hate, click that subscribe button. You're keeping my show on the air. Have a good one.